On the edge of a dried lagoon in northern Kenya, at a place called Nataruk, researchers found 27 people lying where they died. They were not buried. Some of them had their hands bound. A woman in the late stages of pregnancy was among them. Several skulls were caved in on one side. In one of them, a piece of obsidian was still lodged in the bone. And obsidian doesn't occur naturally anywhere near that lagoon. Someone carried it there. They died around 10,000 years ago. No farms, no cities, no kings, just a group of hunter-gatherers by a lake and another group that came for them. In the last video we solved the predators. The lions learned to leave us alone. The saber-tooths went extinct. By the end of that story, there was almost nothing left on Earth that could reliably kill a coordinated group of humans. Almost nothing. Start with what the bones actually show. Nataruk is one site, and it's argued over. Some researchers think part of that damage came from the ground, not from weapons. Fair. So look at the others. At Jebel Sahaba in Sudan, a cemetery roughly 13,000 years old holds dozens of skeletons studded with stone points. Points in the ribs, points in the spine, points driven into bone at angles that only make sense if someone was shooting. When the collection was re-examined recently with better microscopy, the picture that emerged wasn't one big battle. It was worse in a quieter way. Many of the injuries had healed, then new ones were inflicted. These people were attacked, survived, and were attacked again. Not a war, a pattern. Move forward to Europe. At Talheim in Germany, about 7,000 years ago, 34 people were thrown into a pit. Men, women, children, most had been struck from behind with the same kind of stone adze that the community used for woodworking. Whoever did it wasn't a stranger with exotic weapons. They had the same toolkit. You can keep going. A ditch at Schlitz in Austria. Skeletons in the American Great Plains. Different continents, different millennia, the same signature. Blunt trauma to the back of the skull, projectile points in the torso, and no time to bury anyone afterward. So why us? Everything that made us impossible to hunt made us extremely good at hunting each other. Take the group. A lone human is a meal. We established that. But a coordinated group of 20 is not just 20 times safer. It's a different kind of animal. It can plan, it can decide where to be tomorrow, and a group that can decide where to be tomorrow can decide to be where you are, before dawn, while you're asleep. Take distance. The shoulder that lets you throw a rock at a leopard lets you throw a spear at a person standing 20 meters away who has not seen you yet. Every predator on the savannah had to close the gap and take the risk. We removed the risk. That's what a projectile is. Violence with the danger subtracted. Take the very thing that let us survive the night. Fire keeps the cats out of your camp. It also tells everyone within 10 kilometers exactly where your camp is. There's a comparison worth making here, and it's uncomfortable. In the 1970s, primatologists at Gombe in Tanzania watched a chimpanzee community split into two groups. Over the following years, males from the larger group systematically traveled to the smaller group's territory, moved quietly, attacked isolated individuals, and killed them, one at a time, until the smaller community no longer existed. Chimpanzees do this, so do we. Our last common ancestor lived around 7 million years ago, which means either we both invented it separately or it's very, very old. Now the honest part, because this is where the field genuinely splits. One camp reads all of this as evidence that lethal intergroup violence is deep in our lineage. Older than agriculture, older than property, part of the equipment. The other camp points out something real. Almost every clear case is late. Jebel Sahaba, Nataruk, Talheim, 13,000 years, 10,000, 7,000. Compare that to the 2 million years we just spent surviving lions. For most of our existence, the evidence for organized human-on-human killing is thin, and thin evidence is not the same as absence of it. But it isn't proof either. And there's a pattern in the late cases that's hard to ignore. They cluster around lakes, rivers, rich fishing grounds, early settlements, around places worth taking, around the moment people stopped moving and started owning. That doesn't settle it. Bones only survive under specific conditions, and mobile hunter-gatherers leave almost nothing behind, so the record is biased toward exactly the settled societies where we find the violence. Both camps know this, both camps are still arguing. But here's what nobody argues about. The same three things carried both stories. The group that mobbed the leopard is the group that raided the camp. The arm that threw the rock is the arm that threw the spear. The fire that held back the dark is the fire that let strangers find you. We didn't develop a capacity for cooperation and a separate capacity for violence. We developed one capacity, the ability to act together, at a distance, on a plan, and it points wherever we aim it. That's the actual answer to how a soft, slow, clawless primate ended up running the planet. Not strength, not even intelligence exactly. The ability to be one thing made of many people. It's the reason we're here. It's also the reason Nataruk happened. Next time, the strangest thing about human beings isn't that we fight. It's that we forgive and then trade with the people we fought. Subscribe and we'll keep going back.